السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله تعالى من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. Honorable ulama kiram, respected and honorable brothers and elders and mothers and sisters. Can I have a show of hands? How many of you, for you, is this your local masjid? Or by whose your local masjid is this? No one. So no one, don't worry, I'm not going to put you on the spot, promise. I'm not going to stick it on you and ask questions. But genuinely, this is really on this. I want to ask you a question. For who out of you lot, this is your local mosque? So nobody? Well, that's a really pleasant surprise. In all the gatherings I've been to since, alhamdulillah, we've attended a couple of places. This is the smallest of gatherings. However, because I'm aware of AL-ILM, I drove past it when I last came Birmingham. I was aware that it was from the road to the actual. When we was about to drive in, my student goes to me, Maulana, I swear down we're at the wrong place. I said, no, trust me, you got to drive in and it's around the corner. It's still a couple of minutes because I checked on the map last time. You know, you guys, you're actually spoiled for choice. Birmingham guys are spoiled for choice when it comes to Masajid. I came here a good few years ago and there's a Maulana friend who I know. When I went to his house, check what happened. We went down to, it was this Spark Brook area. This is Spark Brook, isn't it? Yeah. For us, everything's Birmingham. Like for you guys, everything where we are is London. He's from London. I'm actually not, I'm from Crawley. And Jazakallah to Shaykh Zahid, who he actually sent me a message. He said, can you send me something to make an introduction? That was from 2013. So I don't know who did that, but it went online somehow. I think I know a friend of mine who lived in Kuwait. So I taught online for some time. So he asked me, he said, Habibi, please, I need a small thing because we need to put you on some details. I'm like, okay, just this is what I currently do, khalas. It's interesting because I went to a last place, they made the same announcement. So you get me, like, I actually, wallahi, check this out. I did a message and he said, send me a ta'aruf. I put the words, introduce me as the Gora Pakora. And then I thought, nah, yara, just delete that. They won't get it. Why Gora and Pakora? Because I'm come from two families. Mum's English, dad's Pakistani. I said, not everyone's going to understand that. And then I'm going to have to explain why I said it. But now I explained what I said, what I was going to say, and I didn't even say it in the first place. So anyway, having said that, what I'm going back to is my point, because I don't want to sidetrack. I asked you for a show of hands, is because when you're given the opportunity to go to a masjid, we generally choose, number one, the closest one in some instances. Well, not in some. I would say for us, in some instances, we choose the closer one. Sometimes the second one is, okay, this particular masjid is offering a particular service, or I study there, or they have an affiliation there, and they make their way to that place. When a masjid is somewhat, I would call isolated, that's a challenge to go to. Plus, the lighting is not quote unquote so favorable. So even though this is the smaller of the gatherings, I'm pleasantly surprised by the number of people that are still here. Do you get where I'm coming from? I've spoken in crowds of up to 3,000 people. It doesn't interest me seeing great numbers. It doesn't do anything for my ego. But when I see small, humble beginnings, because I know of Mufti Sahib, right, and this is throwing dust in the face. I've known Mufti Sahib of him for donkey's years. And actually, I was speaking to Shaykh Zahid, and I actually said to him before, I was supposed to come a long time ago, but we couldn't actually make a date. It just so happened, I look at this as my good fortune, that I'm here to take part in his gathering. Alhamdulillah. And this is not just me playing humble, I'm being serious. Now, interestingly, what it is, when I was speaking to Shaykh Zahid Sahib, he said to me that, what we would like to really talk about is about the importance of the masjid and sort of some efforts that are taking place in the masjid and so on. And I think that is a wonderful topic. I shared something some time back with a masjid in Reading, and I thought it was apt and a good idea to share some nasiha and advice from that gathering. And that's why I asked you first, who come here? Because if all of you attend here, and this is your local masjid, then I'm preaching to the preached. In it, I'm just preaching to the preached, you get me? That's just going to be, I can then skip out certain parts. So my assumption is that you benefit directly or indirectly from Hazrat Mufti Sahib, but you perhaps be in another masjid, perhaps. And that's what the demographic I'm addressing. It's always good to know who you talk to, so you know what to say, when to say, and how to say it. And then you can say what you want to tell them what you want to say, and then tell them at the end what you just told them. 3 usul and principles in speaking. Anyways, I'm not here to, that's why I went over that quite quickly. So the first and foremost, and the point is this, Alhamdulillah, although this is my first time here, I hope and pray, inshallah, you can tolerate me and see me again sometime in the near future. If not, मैं आके डेरा ही लगा दूंगा. We'll just turn up on your doorstep, inshallah. But so Jazakumullah once again to Hazrat Mufti Sahib, Jazakumullah to the organizers, and ये तह दिल से दुआ है भाई. Allah Ta'ala आप लोगों को भी इस काम में मज़ीद तरक्की अता फरमाए. May Allah Ta'ala accept you more in this effort, and may Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala take your works from strength to strength. But now one of the things which I really want to kind of focus on in particular, and that is the importance of Masajid. Did you guys know that in Spain, Muslims ruled Spain at one point in time? You know that, innit, man? Like once upon a time, like Muslim were there. It was actually Abdul al-Thalith. So if you want to know about history, it's from the Banu Umayyah. Yeah, so if you know that what that means, fine. If you don't, that's not even the focus. Point, Muslims ruled Spain for hundreds of years. If I'm not mistaken, it was around about 700, approximately 750 years, lagbag, approximately. Anyway, similarly with Ottoman Turkey, many masajid. But what happened in Spain was, although Muslims were many in number and they established a proper khilafah, there were more masjids pro rata in Spain than there were what we would say in modern day UK today. It's only in Birmingham that you man are sport for choice. Because it's like, as I was giving you the Sparkbrook Maulana example, I went to one Shaykh's house and that's where I was sidetracked. I went to one Shaykh's house and I'm sharing with you this mad example. We got to the one place, he said, which masjid do you want to go to? I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, we've got one here, one there, and here. There's a choice of 3. My next question was, why 3 masajid? And then he mentioned some things, and I thought, choro. You get me? So if you understand that, you understand. Flana the Dimgana, the someone, I thought, bro, listen, just take, I said, everyone's legit, cool, just take me to the nearest one, mashallah, that you recommend, and let's. Point is that you actually one sport for choice. And I went to another place, there was one masjid here, one masjid here, one masjid here, all in a row. We went around the corner and someone goes, oh, there's another one there. So in an L shape, you had 5. This is, I don't want to put, it's nothing wrong with it. Sometimes some masajid can be established in vis-a-vis, yani, in opposition to others. We make dua that Allah unite the hearts of Muslims. But a lot of masajid is a healthy sign of society that Islam is alive. To hota kya hai? We can become complacent. And we think, I don't need to do anything because Mufti Sahib's got it on lock, bruv. He'll deal with it. I don't have to do anything because, mashallah, you've got Maulana Sibghatullah holding the fort. And you've got, mashallah, Alima and Ustada Fulana, they're doing it. So why do I need to do anything? Let me focus on dunya. Let me focus on my side of things. Now, alhamdulillah, that's got its merits. And you need to do that as well, because what we're inspiring is for people like you, mate, to be the leaders of the future. All these young boys, everyone here, we aspire for our young. And one of the things which I liked about AL-ILM, the kind of the mission statement, is to not only increase ilm and knowledge, but also to equip people with the modern skills that are necessary. And trust me, I know of the courses that come out here because I am fortunate to facilitate one group online, just wherever we can, a little bit of social media in a halal way, where events are advertised. So alhamdulillah, the number of things that come out from AL-ILM under Hazrat Mufti Sahib's sort of supervision is really pleasing to see. And again, like I said, I don't want to throw dirt and dust in the face. But it's qabuliyat from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Aji Sahib, kya khayal hai? Ye Allah ta'ala ki taraf se qabuliyat hoti hai. To ye hamari khushqismati ki hum usme thoda hissa dal rahe. That's why I wanted to mention what I mentioned. Anyway, back to my point, because I said Spain and then I went off on a tangent and I mentioned Sabaz wale, Saved wale, Kale wale. Yeah, I mentioned different masajid. So then Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, let me share with you a hadith. The hadith is in its sanad, it's authentic in its narration. Where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentioned, check this out, Al-Masajid buyutullahi fil ard. تضيء لأهل السماء كما تضيء نجوم السماء لأهل الأرض. The houses of Allah subhanahu, the masajid, these masjids you see, they're the houses of Allah on this very earth. What do we mean by the house of Allah? Is that it's just got a connection to Allah. Yani tashrif, it's actually a sign of respect. You man get where I'm coming from, yeah? Just as our Maulana was talking about Tawheed stuff, yeah, Allah's free from any need of building or, like anyway, I'm not going to go into Aqeedah issue, but it's basically Abdullah, Amatullah, Baytullah. These are attributed to Allah as a sign of respect, as a sign of their maqam, as a sign of their place in society. Yani the respect, the tashrif, as we say in Arabic. So the masajid are bayutullah, they are the houses of Allah on the earth. Just as how, for you, stars shine in the sky, masajid shine for the malaika and the angels in exactly the same way. And that's beautiful, man. But those masajid, what? That have a'mal. Those masajid that have actions. Those masajid that have those efforts which are loved by Allah and also on the way shown by us, by the Prophet ﷺ and his beloved companions, the righteous ulama. And alhamdulillah, if we continue to focus in this way, in this manner, on this particular manhaj thought and so on, they will continue to shine so long as they are established. So this is why I said, alhamdulillah, because you guys are in other masajid, the hour of the day is this, is firstly, thank Allah ta'ala for this ni'mah and blessing. Thank Allah for this blessing. It just so happened once, I had an opportunity where my profile that was read came online because I taught a course for one Shaykh as a request. I did it, it was a trial thing. Alhamdulillah, teaching online has got its benefits, and I realized from this particular scenario, there was a student, and my question first is, do you have the option to study anything locally? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you take any courses local to where you are? They said, nah. Bro, the nearest masjid to my house is 46 kilometers away, 46 miles away. And I was like, rah man, 46 miles. Like, subhanAllah, my masjid is like 2 miles away. And I used to get a panic, thinking, how am I going to get to the masjid? And then, alhamdulillah, I came nearer and the masjid became 400 meters. I'm like, oh, the masjid is 400 meters away. Still, we'll always find an excuse. Human being is so, subhanAllah, ungrateful. I remember a time, right? Because obviously, alhamdulillah, I won't give you my age, but I'm a border millennial era, so you can kind of guess where I'm at, yeah? 80s, 90s sort of time, we never had this privilege to be able to benefit while sitting in the comfort of our own homes. It's got its merits. I want to just add a disclaimer in there. Alhamdulillah, it's got its merits and you utilize asbab and means per necessary. But as Mufti Sahib mentioned, when gatherings take place, also try to attend them because the attendance in person is much more will benefit as opposed to something online. Each has its merits. And we're not knocking one or the other. For those, for example, as Mufti Sahib mentioned, that they have students that are scattered and darted throughout the globe and people have directly or indirectly benefited, alhamdulillah. If we did not utilize that sabab and that means, then we wouldn't be able to have that reach. Well, you man following, yeah? So I'm not negating it. No, I'm saying you man because some people are talking. I'm not negating, I think it's a wonderful idea, but never, ever neglect keeping the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alive. Keep the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alive. When there's programs taking place, try to take part. Even if you can only stay for a certain limited amount of time. Show your support, show your presence. You can then say, for example, apologies, I can only stay for this long. At least, yaar, you know what they say in Urdu? They say, hosla afzai hoti bhi thodi bahut. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's a sense of that, alhamdulillah, people are benefiting, they appreciate. This is, something that the community like and want. So always keep this in mind, inshallah. But my number one point was this: you should make what? What should you do because of all these masajid? Be thankful and do show what? Yeah? respect and appreciation. Appreciate what you have and make shukr to Allah, because believe me, if in the absence of this, we as a community would be in loss. So the object here is not to look at negatives, but number one is to look at how we can make these institutes go from strength to strength. Because we've got modern day problems, and the solutions we need to find have to also be, in some instances, novel. If we give old solutions to new problems, we're not going to solve the issues. Maulana pointed out on a really important topic, the importance of Tawheed and understanding about the oneness of Allah. I need to chuck this in here as well, because Maulana mentioned something really beautiful, but I want to just add something. And that is, when your children come back from school and they have these ideas that are being taught at school. Now, we can one side rant and rave that I don't want you to teach X, Y, Z. I don't want you to teach, is it he, she, or whatever. That's, at the end of the day, you can only lobby, talk, discuss, but if it's going to go ahead, it's going to go ahead. What do you do in that instance? Number one, you, as your right, have the right to educate your children, to say, that's the belief which some people have, that's their business, but we are the people of Tawheed, we are the people of Islam, we are Muslims, and this is our Islamic belief. By teaching that, you have the right to teach that to your child. Everyone getting where I'm coming from? So number one, if your children are coming home with ideas, you need to educate them. What if you can't educate? Then go Masjid. Go to the madrasa. Send your youths to the classes. Tell them to come and take benefit. And this is why I have so much respect for these young ulama. Because they selflessly give their time for our communities. They selflessly, भाई इस बात को अच्छी तरह कान खोल के सुन लो. इनके पास options है दूसरे कामों में पढ़ने के लिए. They have options. But there is this dard that gets drummed in our brains in the Dar al-Ulums. Because someone needs to hold this banner. Someone needs to uphold the fort. Someone needs to keep striving for the effort for the sake of Allah. Just as how the stars are for the sky, we need the houses of Allah to be stars for the inhabitants of the skies. And this is what gets drummed in. You know, they say, gutti mein padi hui hai. Have you heard of this term? Gutti mein padna, they say. It's a bit Urdu term. It means that, you know, when you're born, they give you something sweet, right? Tahniq. So when you do that, they say that get a pious person to do the tahniq of a child. Yeah, elders will understand where I'm coming from. So the elders will understand. So the point is that what happens, they say, when something is in your tahniq, is that becomes part of your character. Okay? My point, without going into a sidetrack, but it's something passionate which I say, is that we need to be those people that help maintain these masajid. Not only financially, but also spiritually, keep them alive. Like I said, there will be stars in the sky when we fill them with ibadah. The most beautiful of all of the adornments we can make in the house of Allah. Carpet in its respectable place, walls in its respectable windows. These are all necessary for the maintenance of the masjid. But you know what the biggest beauty is that would probably give Mufti Sahib the most happiness, as well as the Asatida and the well-wishers, is seeing this masjid full and packed. That is the real happiness. Ki yaar ab jagah kam pad gayi, kya kare yaar? Now we got less space. What do we do now? Now is AL-ILM hub number 2. From Sparkbrook to Spark Hill. And then Spark Hill to, where does it go after that? Eggbaston, what's that place called? I don't know, man. Yeah, something like that. I just know Birmingham, innit? And because of Shaykh Zahid, I heard a bayan, he goes, Sparkbrook, Spark Hill, so I know them areas. Bas. Oh, there's King's Heath as well I've come across. MashaAllah, one Shaykh al-Hadith from South Africa, Hazrat Maulana Fadlur Rahman Azmi Sahab came, so alhamdulillah, we visited on a good couple of occasions. Yaar, matlab कहने का ये है कि you need to not only invest in the financial side, guys, but you also need to bring alive the a'mal within the masjid. And that was my sidetrack, and I mentioned that, you know, you send your children to the schools, you have a responsibility thus then to correct the Islamic Islah, and as Mufti Sahab Shaykh pointed out, Islah of the Aqidah, to correct their knowledge. Look, bro, straight up like this. I asked a kid in the masjid. Check out this one. I asked a kid in the masjid, who's Isa alayhi salam? He mentioned Prophet of God. Have you heard of Jesus? Inna Maulana mentioned, Naqli kufr kufr na bashad. Allah forbid. This is mashup what I'm about to say. When I said, who's Jesus? Can you have a guess what his response was? He's who? The Son of God. And I said, La ilaha illallah. And I explained that, didn't you know that they were the same person? He said, oh no, I didn't. My mum and dad never told me. Now this was a kid who was a bit young for the madrasa. Because in our area we take only kids from the age of 7 because we just can't cater, we just haven't got the space. So this was a child who had gone to school, but they didn't know this knowledge, the most basic thing. I tell you what, there are some things most Muslims know. One is Surah Fatiha, the other one is Surah Ikhlas. There was some man running his mouth here, some girl running her mouth at Speaker's Corner. She goes, I used to be a Muslim, I left Islam. They said, cool, no problem. Read Surah Fatiha. She didn't know it. So they said, do one, mate. You ain't no Muslim, you're never a Muslim. I'm willing to put, it's only a S9, but it's worth a few £100, right? I'm willing to put my phone on the line in that sense, as a hypothetically, of course, and challenge any one of these kids, and I guarantee they'll know Surah Fatiha if they're above the age 7. Innit? Bro, you're an adult, you claim to be a Muslim. If there's a possibility that there is truth to that, that's a very big question mark, that means there was a neglect on the education of that child. Either you're chatting breeze and garbage, or the situation is that you didn't even go to a madrasa. In that case, I blame your mum and dad. Whatever the case may be, these masajid are forts. These masajid are stars. These masajid are those places, these madaris are those places that are protecting the nasl of you and I, and this is what we must value. This is the problem, man. Maulvi ko hamare haan jo hum sasta samajhte hain. Bro, we look at Maman as cheap, bro. Like just lallu, na'udhu billah. I'm sorry, yeah, but this is reality. Obviously he become a shaykh, he's also in the teaching and stuff. You have to have some supplementary things on the side sometime because your ahwal are tough. There was one Maulana mentioned a message earlier on. He said, since the so-called cost of living crisis, gas expensive, bijli mengi, pani ye. Only 3 things have stayed the same. Masjid Maulvi ki tankhah, Mudarris ki tankhah, or Khatib ki tankhah. And bro, I was like, the geezer's got a point. So for those who don't understand Urdu, he was just saying everything's gone up. Everything's gone up in this so-called living crisis, cost of living. It's just a natural giving, innit? With that condition that you don't even question it. You walk into a shop, brother, this used to be 12 quid, cost of living. We don't even question it. It might even be the same stock, but you just put out a 10 and put 12, cost of living. Because we're so conditioned that we've just accepted it. I don't want to say where. Because that's going to do besti to those people, yeah? Bro, in one area, one city, na'udhu billah, why the Shaykh called me? Because he was calling to literally near enough cry. Like, this is the ahwal, yar, what do we do? Let me share it with you, but not mention the area. That way, baat thodi thandi rehti hai, you get me? But check out this. Monday to Friday, Allah knows best. Allah knows best how they were only charging £3 a week fees. I don't know, bro. I don't know how you look. Come on, man. In this day and age, that's not possible. It's not. I don't know how they did it, but nevertheless, London, £20, £25, £15. But bro, this is the norm. Week, right? So this is somewhere far up north. Someone put it up by 50 pence. And on that, there was literally a verbal fight, and the guy goes, I swear, Maulana, qasam se, it got literally close to hatapai. Like, fight was about to kick off in the masjid. Why? कि 50 penny का फर्क. इन मौलवियों की जुर्रत क्या है यार 50 penny? Like, bro, come on, be sensible. You accepted that my lamb kebab used to cost 8, now it costs £11. And that's without the Diet Coke. What the khushi se? Funny enough, because we went yesterday, we were for a bite to eat in one area. Normally I'm a sida sada guy, dal roti guy, but we're with Shabab. We came to the thing and they said, oh man, your bayan's afterwards, we're going for a coffee. Abhi tak wapas nahi aaye. They've gone for the coffees. I said, chalo theek hai, they've been on safar and travel, koi baat nahi, I'll see you guys in a bit. Anyway, we was at this shop and the £4, it had £3.50, got crossed out £3.90. £27 crossed out 30. Everyone's accepting it. This is the cost of living. When it comes to the house of Allah, we used to give that same £5 chanda a week. I'm giving £5, Mona. I'm giving my £5. By cost of living, give 6. It'll be cost of living. Give 7. Oh, yaar, give 10. Tera kya jata hai, yaar? Allah gave you all this anyway. Remember the time when you was in Dhaka and Sylhet and you were, mashallah, eating humble foods? Remember the time when you was in Gujar Khan and Kashmir, or you was in Somal or Jazair or Maghrib or Tunis? Where did Allah take you from? Where did Allah bring you to? What Allah Ta'ala gave you. Do it kam se kam at least for the sake of Allah. Yeah, Allah ka ghar hai. It's not Mufti Saab's. It's not Mufti Zahir Saab's. Buyutullahi fil ard. Allah ka ghar. It's connected to Allah, it's linked to Allah. Allah ko samajh ke de do. This I'm giving it for Allah. Anyway, similarly as well, guys, in terms of Sahaba used to value efforts taking place in the masjid. You know the Sahaba? What's the time, by the way? 47. Oi, oi. Salah's at 5 past. So I was planning, I even said to Maulana, don't worry, inshallah, I'm going to be bang on time. And now I'm thinking, subhanAllah, I've sidetracked, I've done this much, and I put some notes down. I thought, let me just share some ideas. Hey, I'm going to be here till, not 5 past 7, but much later, but I will stop closer to the time, inshallah. So we'll try and stop around the 7 mark, ताकि azan can happen and salah can happen. And if it goes over, थोड़ा बहुत, तो यार market में थोड़ा बहुत चलता रहता है यार. Still, inshallah, we'll try our best. Sorry, Shaykh, he was going to say. Sorry? Salah will be delayed. No, but then if I delay, they're going to say, ji, Maulvi ne kiya hai. So if I stop on time, will it still be on time? Yeah, no, chalo. Okay, we'll keep that in mind, inshallah. I'll try and summarize some main points. Because my issue is that although I had, my biggest problem in doing any bayan, I sidetrack a hell of a lot. Shukr, I don't have to edit my own bayan, my students do it. They're like, wow, yaar, ek topic, you say this, oh, just the point. And then you come back to your point 15 minutes later. It's a sidetrack habit I've got because you know what happens? Yaar, kabhi dil mein baat aati hai, you get me? This is not a stage show. I can write a word bayan word for word. One person phoned me, goes, I want you to do a bayan. What's the name of the bayan? This bayan. I heard it online. I said, I'll do exactly the same bayan, take the same notes. I guarantee it'll be 50% different. Because when you're in a gathering, something comes in the heart, yaar, and you just have to say it, yaar. I'm not saying this is like I'm some pious dude, you get me? But Allah kabhi, there's a thing that comes in the heart, yaar, yeah, Allah ki taraf se. Because my sitting here with no malice, I don't stand to gain from you. You don't gain from, our transaction is only for the sake of Allah. If I phone Maulana Zahir Saab and I said, it cost you £500 an hour for my time, then there's a transaction. It's like, bro, say your words, go, get out, £500, Khuda Hafiz. वो है ही नहीं मौलाना अभी हम कभी ऐसा करते हैं नहीं करते यार. It's not in our DNA. You do have people that do that, and I'll give you one piece of advice. Stay away from people like that. If anyone can put a shart, we've had this. We've had this. So I'm sharing this with you, and it's becoming a culture which is taken from certain mawara an-nahar, yeah, from places across the pond from us sometimes in some instances, where people literally barter. Maulana Sahib mentioned his Ustad Maulana Abdul Rahim Limbada Sahib. So I was privileged to travel with Hazrat on a couple of occasions. On one occasion we travelled, subhanallah, I don't think he'll mind inshallah because there's sabak in this and there's nothing wrong, it's nothing attributed to him. And he didn't do anything anyway, so I think I'll be okay in saying it. So we went to a particular, one country abroad. It happened to be, alhamdulillah, me, there was another Maulana as well. Chalo, let's not mention names, warna fir sab ki baat ho jayegi. Nevertheless, we went there now, and alhamdulillah, thumma alhamdulillah, we were privileged to take part in the gathering. For us, it was an opportunity to give something back to the community. You know what I'm saying? Because look, bro, they're holding a program, they're saying 15,000 people are going to come. So we thought, well, why don't I go there? If I can affect one person, alhamdulillah, لَيَهْدِيَ اللَّهُ بِكَ رَجُلًا وَاحِدًا خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ حُمَرِ النَّعَمِ. The Shaykh mentioned the hadith. If you can guide a person to the right path or the deen, then it's better for you than red camels. And that was the prize value thing at the time. If I told somebody, bro, if you guide someone to the right path, Bugattis, bruv. Bugatti. So it's like that. It's the comparison's the same. Obviously, Bugatti is of a different nature. It's an automatic car, and this is a red camel. But it's that thing. It was like the prized item, Bugatti, Ferrari, that type. I want to cut to the chase again. Can you see what I've just gone and done? I've done a what again? A sidetrack. But it's all about the house of Allah, so inshallah it's okay. We went there now, we done our thing, alhamdulillah. And it was a mistake of one brother who blurted this out. He said, Yar, honestly, may Allah reward you, Maulvis. Yar, Allah give you Maulvis, jazai khair. And I was like, and then I was waiting for it, because when someone gives you a dua, I'm staying quiet because I want a few more duas. But it was the high and then there was the low. This was the high part. Allah reward you. Allah abko barakat de, alhamdulillah. Ameen, ameen, summa ameen. This was the down part. Yar, we called somebody from the States and he was charging us $15,000. $15,000. And I was like, you what, mate? Say again. Did I hear that right? 15, not rupees, not naira, not dakas. Bro, dollars. And when he said that, I couldn't believe it. Na'udhu billah, people are selling deen in some instances. So my humble request to you, again, it's one of those bugbears I've got. If your ulama are serving your community selflessly, let it be such कि उनको बोलना ना पड़े, let them not ask, we be ready to give. Like, ऐसा जज्बा हो. That's the desire we should have. If you can preempt and look at what your community needs. Okay, Mufti Sahib, I noticed there's something over there. I think that, could we do something here? I'm seeing that there's this thing here. Is there some way I can assist? Yeah, that's comforting. Someone of Mufti Sahib's caliber to sit and ask you to give, unki shaan mein kami nahi hoti. It's your fayda that you help him, or you help the institute, or you help AL-ILM, because it's your akhirah. He's given you an opportunity to help your own bank account for the akhirah. But one is that you say, we don't even want you to even need to go down this process. Tell us where, when, how much. It's a wire transfer nowadays. It's not even a physical exchange of cash. Isn't it, bro? That's what it's like. So I can't stress on this point. And ask Shaykh Zahid, I wasn't asked to say this. And that's why it's a sidetrack from my thing. Because I believe that as a community we need to focus on this. But nevertheless, I want to, there's some things I'm going to skip. And one of those things is that doing khidmah in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a hadith I want to share with you very briefly. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu mentioned that about a story about a woman, يعني التي تقم المسجد. She used to clean the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, clean Masjid al-Nabawi. And then what happened was that she passed away. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam inquired about her, and they said, oh, she passed away. And then he said that, why didn't you tell me and give and inform me? And the hadith mentions فَكَأَنَّهُمْ صَغَرُوا أَمْرَهَا. يعني what happened was that it's not that they looked down upon her, but it was like, you know, the woman passed away, she passed away, khalas. It's like, okay, we didn't think of it as needing an important, pressing matter to have to inform you. Like, you know, people come, people go, like one of them ones. But because of her khidmah, she was the person who used to do the khidmah of the masjid. And that, when he was told that she had passed away, he said, دُلُّونِي عَلَىٰ قَبْرِهَا. Just go and take me to the place where you buried her. Show me the qabr. So he sallallahu alayhi wasallam went, and at that juncture what he did is that he performed the janazah upon her at that place where he was instructed that she was buried. Now I would like to mention that this juncture, this is an academic discussion to further, and you can ask the ulama about this inshallah. I'll leave you with that, okay, it brings some hirs. Okay, what's the academic issue that comes out of this hadith? And if you ask about it, inshallah, it will tickle your mind a little bit. But you only are interested in those things that are meaningful to you. Let me say that again. The only thing that ignites your passion are those things that are meaningful for you. Let me give you a worldly example. You just get given a new phone. I don't know what number iPhone we're on now. We're on 15 Pro Max? Is that the latest one? It just so happened, I drove it and I saw a sign. So I'm assuming either cost of living crisis hit them and they haven't changed the sign, or that's the new one. Yeah, so 15 Pro Max, house of Allah, na'udhu billah, but you get my point. Sometimes you have to give mash-up examples. Are we on S23 now or something? Something like that. So someone just gives you a new iPhone 14, 15 Max Pro, whatever the latest model is. What are you going to do? Yeah. You're going to scream. Oh, of course, I'm jumping ahead. That's the first thing I'm going to do. You're going to go, Nare Takbir! Probably something like that. You're going to get so excited. But assuming you've got past that stage and now you've got the phone, you just want to learn how to get the best out of your camera. Do you know what you're going to do? You're going to take yourself to YouTube. You're going to type in video, iPhone 15 Max, camera settings, best options for vlogging, it's in it. Bro, Shaykh, are you agreeing with me or not? Bro, I did the same thing, that's why. But alhamdulillah, ours was a slightly different thing because I'm not into the selfies. I'm more into the recordings for the da'wah. Like, how can we get the best thing? One thing, how do I preserve battery? Ya Allah. Battery was getting battered. So you go to YouTube, you get me? Now, olden days, you used to get a manual and you used to read. Manuals gather dust nowadays. Now they've stopped printing and say, just go online and read it online. Can you all relate to this? That definitely you're going to go online, is it? So whether it's a car, whether it's a problem, you're going to try and get the best out of your device. Why? You value your device. You haven't got to be told. You choose to do it yourself. So when I mentioned to you this hadith and I said there's an academic discussion that comes out of it, Naman is like, I want to know. What is it that the ulama discuss at this juncture when it comes to this hadith? And that you'll have to ask Mufti sir. So, in conclusion, I'm going to literally just turn this page. There's a few things I could have said. But I want to jump onto some ideas about an ideal masjid, which we can take ideas and possibly implement them in our own areas. I'm going to share with you some ideas. And I'm not saying this is 100% correct. Some may be more apt than other areas. Some may not even be befitting certain areas. But these, in my humble sort of safar, as far Mufti Sahib, mashallah, has been to a number of countries, he can also relate to you what are good practices. So he'd probably be more befitting, and for this area, he'd give you better advice than me. But in my humble capacity, alhamdulillah, in hirs of ajr that someone may take up this idea, let me share with you a couple of things, and we have approximately just a few minutes to do so. Ubay Sahib, listen to this inshallah. I'm going to share with you a couple of things, yeah? Okay. So number one, these are some ideas. Look, the number one priority is the dini structure of things, i.e. your 5 salah, i.e. Jumu'ah, the madrasa. Wallah, listen, the madrasa system is absolute gold for our community. Shaykh mentioned about the importance of tawheed, preservation of the family. If you're not having madrasa classes, if you're not having that environment where people can come and engage, alhamdulillah, you have the online thing, but also to be able to physically cater in the house of Allah. Very important. Very, very important to have this. Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he came into the masjid. It was Ramadan time. And when he came, it was the first night of Ramadan. He mentions that, وَالْقَنَادِيلُ تَزْهَدْ وَكِتَابُ اللَّهِ يُطْلَى فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ. The lamps were lit everywhere, Quran was being recited. And he felt this need to make this dua. نَوَّرَكْ لَكْ يَبْنَ الْخَطَّابِ فِي قَبْرِكَ كَمَا نَوَّرْتَ مَسَاجِدَ اللَّهِ بِالْقُرْآنِ. He mentioned, O Ibn Khattab, may Allah enlighten your qabr with nur, just as how you facilitated and made our houses, the house of Allah, illuminated with the Quran. So maqsad kya hai ki try to bring a'mal. We hear of doing 5 a'mal in the masjid a lot. Very important, 5 a'mal. Daily mashra in the masjid, ta'aleem in the masjid, making the center a hub for da'wah, local maqami effort, taking out efforts for da'wah. There's so many things that can be done in that sense. But these are some other novel ideas as a modern day masjid which we need to give some idea to. Career advice is one really important one, where shabab can come and discuss, talk, and maybe we can have a facility where we can utilize this in the house of Allah. The challenge is being now is because, bro, your kids want to study. Who would like their child to study? I mean, I definitely want mine to. How are they going to go around the interest-based system? It's a problem, isn't it? You got to pay like 9 bags a year. That's a lot of money. So why don't the children be able to maybe have those options where they can talk to someone where we can arrange career event? Like one of the guys who came with us, alhamdulillah, he had secured 2 brothers and their cousins secured apprenticeships. So they knew the ins and outs. What do you do? What do you look for? Where are the websites? How do you apply? They know the full breakdown. So we had this in the masjid. It was received so well, alhamdulillah. But then that highlighted a niche that this is something that other Masajid could do. So alhamdulillah, he went Manchester, other places, and offered the same sort of thing. That careers, how do you get into a career? How do you get into an apprenticeship and so on? Youth services, I think all of us would agree that we're struggling with our youth, right? I was near Coventry Road just yesterday. Bro, that place is mad. Like literally, like even these areas around here, people just zooming around in cars, like, subhanallah, man. It's, you know, we need to make a proper focused effort for our young shabab, our youth. It's so important. Bhai, सीधी सी बात यही है. Let me explain something to you. अगर आप लोगों ने देखना ना कि हमारे कल के लीडर कौन है, भाई अपने बच्चों को देख लो. If you want to see who your leaders are tomorrow, look at your youth. They're your leaders. This will depict what we're going to get in the future. Now, mashallah, yeah, you have people that make islah later on, but as a general situation right now, we're going through a big crisis. So that's why career youth services are really important. And then we have obviously the halaqat and ta'aleem for the sisters as well. If they can be catered for, mashallah, in houses, fine. If not, then the masajid as well, to, you know, keeping in mind the Islamic etiquette and ideas, Islamic etiquette and ideals. Da'wah activities and so on, community engagement where needed. You know, and another thing which has become a problem, which mashallah, Mufti Sahab, I've seen they already offer any, but marriage services. Big issue, man. Big issue. Because although our ideal is that my ideal, I want to take my child to Rawalpindi and get married, you know, in family or Jontra. We're originally from Thana, Jontra. Bro, you go there, all you're going to see is Majjan, Gaka. So like, bro, our kids, they go there for 20 minutes and come back and say, I want to go home. Where's home? England. Home. So you know what I mean? It's like, it's funny because you speak to a kid here, where you going, bro? Home, bro. When they go to Pakistan, they want to come home. Where's home? Oh no, England's home. I'm from Alam Rock. Yeah, Allahu Akbar. I was going to sidetrack there as well. Let me not go there. But the marriage situation is a problem we've got in our community. So we need to think holistically, because how will our children find rishteh, suitable rishteh and partners here that where they can masha their culture is generally the same? Because our marriages, whether we like it or not, are breaking up a lot. And by the way, if you think this is above your pay grade, Maulana, why are you talking on this? Is because I happen to be a relationship therapist. That's the updated CV. But it's okay. I only chuck this in here because it's important to mention that we've got a current crisis, because, you know, there was a time when our respectable elders, may Allah bless them, they used to make a lot of sabr. And if they were having unnis bis at home, like some up and down, they would say, Yar sabr, man, kids, sabr for the sake of the community. I mean, there was the other one as well. Oh, log ke haksan. What are people going to say? But the majority was, yeah, let's just manage it, man. Our kids don't think like that. I've dealt with dozens of cases. They say, to hell with you. I want to get married to somebody else. So we need to really approach this topic in a really sensitive way. That's why the counseling services, marriage services, mediation, it is absolutely a need of the day. And because your local ulama will be more aware of the urf of your youngsters, you get me? I'm a visiting person, so although I'm from UK and I'm born and bred here and I'm half Gora, there's still going to be a cultural difference between this masjid's atraf and aspas than compared to my home. In it, you get me? It's this way it is. Londoners are different from Birmingham, bruv. We've got our own challenges, man. You have your own unique challenges. So every area's got its own unique issues. There are some generic things that we're having as a whole, and that's why I said as a whole in UK, culturally, we need to focus on this a little bit. And then there's other things like media, non-Muslim services, and I was going to say media, but mashallah, man are representing with the Ali-Ilm Networks, so shout out to those people. Alhamdulillah. And then you have like other things like the outreach and the children's and youth staff education, adult education. If I even do jurut and try and talk about anything there, that's just being silly. Because mashallah, a lot of things are already happening. In conclusion, all I want to finish off is a couple of points, is that how do we achieve these goals? One is obviously the financial effort, which I've alluded towards already. The other thing is obviously making the masjid abad, because when people come in the house of Allah, people volunteer and they say, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this action. Oh, bhai, khidmat ke liye kaun tayar hai, bhai? Haath khada karo. Who's ready, inshallah? MashaAllah. Naam likho, bhai. MashaAllah. Like this. And then people put their hands up. But you need to have a selfless attitude. I'm going to come to a few things, how to achieve these goals of extra activities, and I'm going to come to an end. Number one, you have to develop a selfless attitude that I'm doing it only for the sake of Allah, selflessly. I don't want name and fame. I don't want gain and glory. I don't want wahwa and shukriya. I'm going to take from Allah. Have that thing. Shukr will come, but that's not what I'm looking after. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm doing it for Allah. In addition to that, you have to develop and inculcate a desire to want to give back. I want to give something back. You know, one person, subhanallah, you know, check out this one. One guy was complaining, he said that, let me say it sensitively, but he was having a bit of a rant of how he feels that he doesn't connect to the Jum'ah. He was moaning about the Jum'ah for some reason. But you know what's ironic? You've been going to the same Jum'ah in the same masjid for 15 years. Like, why don't you just go to the other masjid then, innit? Yaar, kuch na kuch to ho raha hai, कि you keep on coming back. Unconsciously, you know, no, something's good here, man. Otherwise, go to the next masjid. So you go, you benefit, and you still want to find nuqs. Rather than being critical, why not have a thing of, I want to give back? You get me? Look to enrich others, not that it's just a one-way stream of taking. I also want to give back as well. So selflessness, and that's why it ties very closely to the second point, this jazba and this desire to want to give back. Number 3, not seeking authority or position. Can you see how these three are tied so closely to ikhlas? Because ikhlas is so important. Sincerity, ikhlasul niyyah, is really, really important for any action to be accepted. If it's tainted, as Shaykh mentioned about tawheed being tainted with a drop of blood or urine, ikhlas and sincerity is exactly the same way. This bottle of water, pure as it may be, 500 mils, if I put 1 mil of blood in there, you're going to say, do one, mate. I'm not drinking it. That's not even going to be utilized now for wudu, istinja. So why should Allah tabarak wa ta'ala accept anything less? And last but not least, sometimes you have people around you that can be quite pessimistic. For some people, the bottle is still quite empty. The glass is half empty. Halat bahut kharab hai. Maulvi sahab, kitna khurus, halat have gone bad, bruv. Listen, apni jagah, that's all in its own place. Let me give you a humble piece of advice. Don't listen too much to negative people. Don't be negative people. If you can't say a word of good, rather stay quiet. Don't bring down other people's spirits. Don't bring down other people's things. So that's why pessimism is the last one, but the first 3 are highly linked to ikhlas. Not seeking selflessness, wanting to give back, not seeking authority and position. I'm not looking to be called chairman sahab. This is for Allah. I don't want to be called Khazanchi Sahib and secretary or treasurer or so on. I'm doing it for Allah. I don't want to be called Hazrat Maulana Fulana. I'm doing it for Allah. I don't want to be called, mashallah, Lubbe Lubab, Bulbule Punjab, Hazrat Maulana. Bro, listen. I'm just Abdul Majid, I'm just Fulana, Shaykh is... If we do it with... If I'm here, Shaykh, if I'm here for my wahba, right? If I'm here because I want to be liked, I swear by Allah, I'm earning my Jahannam right now. A very important point. If I'm trying to impress you with my talking, I swear by Allah, I'm earning the fire of Jahannam. Because my motive is your praise. So don't ever fall into that trap. But that's why I said the last thing, but not least, as a second reminder, not do away with pessimistic people, but try to keep those people at bay. Keep those people involved in something else. Get them to sit in the halaqat of ta'aleem, inshallah. The fadail will come so much, eventually their heart will come around. May Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq, inshallah. I acknowledge that I've skipped some parts, but it's okay. And as being late, of course, you know, I did say I was hoping to finish on time, but I finished slightly after time. But as Mufti Sahib mentioned, don't worry. If anything, the biryani, there's dum on it, inshallah. Oi, it's tiyar ho raha hai, inshallah. You know, there's 2 types of chawal. One is the kind of loose chawal, and if you put the dakna on top, they become chumutane wale chawal. Like soft, squidgy, and you can, mashallah. So unconsciously, maybe I was delaying it because I wanted you to have a better meal. And absence makes the heart grow fonder. Now you'll appreciate that slightly more, inshallah. But one thing people don't appreciate is when things become too long. So if I say anything more, it'll be too much. Jazakumullah, may Allah Ta'ala reward the brothers who organized this. May Allah Ta'ala accept Hazrat Maulana, Mufti Sahib, and all the brothers, the well-wishers and the khair kha of this community. May Allah Ta'ala take you guys from strength to strength, yaar. कसम से इसको देखिए यकीन माने इतनी खुशी होती है. मैं बड़ों से कहूँ कि आप लोग बड़े खुशकिस्मत हैं. और आप हजरात की दुआएं हैं कि अल्लाह ताला जो ना अल्लाह आप लोगों आपसे दरख्वास्त है कि आप मज़ीद दुआएं करते रहें इंशाल्लाह. मुझे ख़ुद पता है कि इस जगह से कितना फ़ायदा हो रहा है. तो मेरे जब इन्होंने कहा ना बयान के लिए, तो मैंने फ़ौरन कहा मैं तैयार हूँ, चाहे जो भी हो. यार नाउज़ बिल्लाह, हमारे लिए क्रिसमस हर दिन बराबर है. This is the one day, bro. Everyone's off. You know what I mean? Because Everyone's off, so it was the opportunity the whole family could get together. So I'm only sharing this with you, going back to my last points, that we all have to have this jazba and desire to want to help and benefit the community. I can't help Mufti Sahib in other ways. I can't help Darul in that way. But what I can do is go in and chuck in a tuppence or a threepence, as they say. I can go and add in something. And I hope and pray that Allah Ta'ala make this a means to benefit and inspire others. Jazakumullah khair wa ahsanu al-jazaa. Barakallahu feekum.